Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Suddhaspadiga Sankasham Shuddha Vidya Pradayakam Shuddham Purnam Chidanandam Sadashivamaham Shaye Shankarupena Machittam Pankikritam Abhodhyaya Kim Kariyasya Samaya Shankaracharya Mashraye Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Bharathi Karunapatram Bharathi Padabhushanam Bharathi Padamarudam Bharathi Tirthamashraye Vidya Vinaya Sampannam Vitaragam Vivekinam Vande Vedanta Tattvajnam Vidhushekara Bharati. Today we will discuss the topic of Bhakti. It is a very important topic found in our scriptures, and this topic is with various shades of meaning in different contexts. Therefore, it is often confusing topic also. Therefore, it is better we clearly understand what Bhakti is. The word Bhakti is used in our scriptures in two different meanings. The first meaning of Bhakti means devotion towards God. Devotion is nothing but love directed to a higher sacred principle, or we can say reverential love is devotion. We talk about Matru Bhakti, Pitru Bhakti in our tradition. We look upon the parents as superior, holy, worthy of worship. Similarly, we talk about Guru Bhakti, Desha Bhakti, Ishvara Bhakti. Therefore, in general, Bhakti is love towards a higher principle, especially love towards God. The topic of love has been very elaborately analyzed in our scriptures, both in its general form as love and also in its specific form as love of God. Scriptures point out that all forms of love that a human being entertains are directed towards only three things. Now we will talk about general form of love, and then we will go to specific form towards God. The first one is love of goal. Whatever goals or ends we want to accomplish in life are all the ends that we love. It is because we love these objects, these ends or goals, we want to acquire them also. So I will call it as love towards ends or end love. It is not end of love, but it is to be understood as love of ends or end love simply. Then later, to accomplish these ends, we have to use various means. Therefore, I begin to love these means also. Only through means I can accomplish the ends. Since the means are useful to accomplish these ends, we begin to love the means also. Why? Because it is useful to accomplish the end. Therefore, I start liking the means also. Therefore, the second direction of our love is love of the means. I will call it as means love. And the third object of love is oneself. Everyone loves himself or herself. This we will call it as self-love. So we saw three categories of love in general form: means love, end love, and self-love. These are the three categories of love. The scriptures point out that there is a gradation in the intensity of these forms of love. Love of the means is the least in intensity. Love of the end is medium. It is slightly superior to the means love. But the highest form of love is self-love, wherein the love has got the highest intensity. That is love of oneself. What is the reason? It is very simple. Love of the means is not for the sake of means. It is only because we want to accomplish the ends, we have the means, therefore we start loving the means. Once the end is accomplished, our attitude towards the mean changes. It is entirely different. After accomplishing the end, the means is forgotten. See, for example, rich people are loved by relatives, by many people, because they are the means for the end called wealth. Many times when the rich person is not well in his last days, even new relatives will start coming and inquiring about his health and all those. As long as the end called wealth can be accomplished through these rich people are loved. The moment money goes away from them, the story is entirely different. The person is not approached by anyone. We often hear stories about elderly rich people are very sincerely served, very sincerely loved by the relatives, by many servants also. You know where the sincerity lies. It is not general, but often this is the fact. The service or the love is with the hope that they can inherit or they can get the rich person's wealth after his death. Supposing the elderly person distributes his wealth when he is doing well to all his relatives and near and dear ones. After some point of time, he realizes there is nobody else to take care of him. This is the tragic fact of our life. Once the wealth is gone, then the person is dumped. That's it. So therefore, after getting all the money, the old person is deserted. He advises therefore based on his experience, he advises his friends not to give their wealth to the next generation until their death. This is his advice because it is based on his bitter experience. The importance given to the end, that is wealth, is beautifully explained by Shankaracharya in his famous Bhajagovindam. In one of the slokams he says, Yavat vitto parjana shaktaha tavan nija parivaro raktaha paschat jivati jarjara dehe vartam kopi na prichati dehe vartam kopi na prichati gehe. This is the slokam. He explains very beautifully. Most of the time, people are purely for the love of them, for the means to accomplish the end. We love people purely for the end, not for anything. And often the end happens to be wealth. Therefore, the love for the end is superior compared to love for the means. If means is dear to you, end will be dearer to you. That's the difference. Now, between the love of end and love for oneself, which love is superior? If you logically analyze, I love various ends, not for the sake of ends, but because I know that that particular object or end or goal is going to give me happiness, going to give me security and peace. I love the end. I love the goal. The moment I see that a particular end does not give me the happiness or the comfort which I expected initially, then my attitude towards that end is changed. Even after accomplishing the end is disposed of. So that is why nowadays even marriages break down. Couples choose each other, they decide to get married and live together. After marriage, perhaps they begin to understand more of each other. Then they decide that you are not comfortable with me, I am not comfortable with you, therefore we will decide to separate. So this is the fact of life. So whom do we love more? Our Upanishads have analyzed and told very nicely. Yajnavalkya is telling in Upanishad, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Nava are patyuh kamaya patif priyo bhavati. Atmanastu kamaya patif priyo bhavati. That is, nobody loves husband. That is, no wife loves husband for husband's sake, but she loves husband only for herself. It is true for husband also. Husband loves wife not for wife's sake, but for himself only. Because of the love for himself, he loves his wife also, and it can be extended to other persons and objects also. Finally, the Upanishad says, Nava are sarvasya kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati, atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. So everything is loved because of one's self. Love for self. That's it. Swami Dayananda beautifully explains. He says, first the boy or the girl says, I love you. Later on, after a few years, then he says, I allow you to go. That means what? Please get lost. In other words, that is the meaning of that. Therefore, no end is loved for the end's sake. Everything is loved for one's own sake only. This is the fact. Therefore, if you have to grade these three forms of love, means love is manda, that is the least intensity. End love is madhyama, medium. And self-love is uttamam, that is with highest intensity. This is the general principle regarding general form of human love. Now let us apply the same principle in the field of God. If a person loves God, what will be the intensity of this love towards God? It depends. Our scriptures, it is not my finding or anything. Our scriptures point out that the intensity of love depends upon how you look upon God. Because different people see God in different perspectives, different ways. The way you look upon God will determine the intensity of love towards God. Majority of the people, that is 90% plus, they look upon God as the means for various worldly ends. This is the fact. If I go to this particular temple and I pray this particular deity there, I will be able to accomplish this end. This goal will be achieved. This is my approach to Bhagavan. As long as you look upon God as a means, that love is called Manda Bhakti, inferior devotion. That is why such people get angry with God also. If they understand, if they come to realize that whatever they have prayed for, they have been praying for, is not happening, then they start getting angry towards God. Swamiji had told in his lectures that it seems one lady came and said, She has been a devotee for many years. And then she said to Swamiji, I am angry with God. I asked God to get my daughter married for the last 4-5 years. I have been praying, but this end is not accomplished. He did not help me to get my daughter married. Therefore, I have stopped worshipping him. And not only with that, I have thrown all my prayer books, pictures of Bhagavan, everything into waste paper basket. She has not even given it to other people. That is the extent of anger which is inbuilt, because the love is conditional. If the condition is fulfilled, I love God. If it is not fulfilled, I am ready to allow even God to go. I reject God. Therefore, such a bhakti is called Manda Bhakti, but unfortunately, this is the prevalent one among most of the people. The next set of people is still rare. They don't look upon God as a means for various ends. They are mature enough. Their understanding of God is clearer. They are able to choose God as the end of life. Here, the end of life means goal of life. They know God represents security, God represents happiness, God represents peace. They know God is the embodiment of security, happiness and peace. And exactly this is what everyone is seeking outside. So this group of people, small group of people, have clearly understood that God represents security, peace and happiness. Therefore, naturally, their love of God is as the end. That is, God is the end. That is end love. Therefore, it is more intense than Manda Bhakti, previous one. Previous one we saw, it was Manda Bhakti, the least intense. This is this type of bhakti, that is, people love God as the end itself, is Madhyama, it is mediocre, medium. You can extend this further and you yourself can find out what will be the Uttama Bhakti. What is the third and the rarest form of bhakti or love, which is more or most intense form of love? We saw few minutes back. It is a love which I look upon for themselves. That is, self-love is the highest intense. So this small percentage of group, maybe 1% or even less than that, they understand that they look upon God neither as a means nor as an end in itself. They understand the Lord and the self being identical in essential sense. God love is equal to self love. Since self love is the most intense form of love, is called Uttama Bhakti. Therefore, if we grade this, for Manda Bhakta, God is dear, no doubt. Even for that Manda Bhakta, God is important, but it is dear to him. For Madhyama Bhakta, God is dearer to him. And for Uttama Bhakta, God is the dearest. So this is how we can grade the Bhakti and Bhaktas also. This fact is beautifully elaborated by Bhagavan Krishna in his 7th and 12th chapters in Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, what is Bhakti? Love towards God in the form of Manda, Madhyama and Uttama Rupa. That is, least intense love, medium intense love and highest intense love. This is the first meaning of Bhakti. The second meaning of Bhakti, I will just introduce, and then the detail which we can see in the next session. We will come to the second meaning of the word Bhakti as explained in our scriptures. Bhakti is the course of discipline meant to accomplish the highest goal of human life, which is nothing but spiritual goal, moksham or freedom, which we saw. To convey this idea of bhakti as a course of discipline, the word yoga is added. So when bhakti means a course of discipline, we use the word bhakti yoga. The suffix yoga represents course of discipline. Bhagavad Gita 12th chapter is titled Bhakti Yoga. The 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is titled Bhakti Yoga. So we will see what is the real meaning of Bhakti Yoga and also the form of God, the way in which we look upon God. Very interesting concept. So this too we will see in the next session. I will stop with this session now. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.